Hey guys, Chris here. Just wanted to come to you with just some thoughts that have been going through my head due to some recent events. As you guys know, my son has a heart condition, and it's something that has left him somewhat immunocompromised. He can get certain vaccinations, he can't get other ones until he's older and healthier. But that's something that will have to be done at that point. Until then, my son is at risk for a lot of preventable childhood illnesses, of which they could very dramatically hurt him. So what I did was I went online and I was reading some stories about, and I've heard about it before, about doctors kind of stepping out of the trenches and getting on the ground floor of fighting the anti-vaccination movement. And they're doing so by denying new patients whose parents either want to do some kind of alternative schedule or want to outright refuse vaccinations altogether. So with the son who has a condition like mine does, I am very invested in finding a place like that to be able to take my son. And the outpouring of anger that I would even ask such a question really, I given how things are, I'm not shocked. I've always been a pro-vaccination person even before my son was born, but it was interesting to see how many people have a mistaken concept of what the word research means. I want to clarify a couple things. The word research, or the action of research in the academic sense, has nothing to do with reading articles in Google. It has nothing to do with reading books that present a one-sided point of view. And it certainly has nothing to do with seeing a movie like Vaxxed or The Greater Good or something like that. It just has nothing to do with that. And real research looks a little bit more difficult, and for that reason I can understand why a lot of Americans don't do those things. It involves getting a formal education in that field. It involves getting grants, proposing experiments, getting grants, taking the results, publishing them, and having them peer-reviewed, and then start the process all over again. And that's what research means. It doesn't mean you can... The average person cannot do research on vaccinations. It's just something you cannot do. So you're left to kind of regurgitate what it is that some person says. Now, one thing that keeps being brought up over and over again when I talk to people about this is that there are, or this axiom that there are two sides to every story. And indeed, there are literally two sides to every story. And the fact that there is an opposite side to a story does not mean that both sides of that story are valid. For example, if I were to own a grocery store and I caught someone red-handed trying to steal something from my store, I saw them put, anything into their jacket and try to walk away with it. I've got videotape evidence to prove it, and my own eyewitness account. That is one side of the story when that person goes to court. Now, there is another side of the story, and that's the side of the perpetrator. Now, the perpetrator may say something like, or could say something like, aliens visited me at night and took over my body and forced me to go into the local Kroger and steal goods. That's his side of the story. That doesn't mean his side of the story is valid, and that doesn't mean that I have to disprove his side of the story. So there being two sides of the story is a completely irrelevant thing. And it blows my mind that in the world of information that we have, and in the advances that medical science has made, on top of hundreds of years, or not hundreds, well, just over 100 years now, of real life, practical, observable experiments, that we would even be at a place where someone would say that vaccines, number one, cause more harm than good. Number two, that they cause autism. Number three, that they cause vaccine injuries. You know, even if those things were true, and I hate to be this person, but even if those things were true, the fact of the matter is, I have to use my own perspective. And my own perspective is, I've got a son with a heart condition that has some very scary, not consequences, but has a scary prognosis. And the course of life may mean that he doesn't make it. That's the reality of what it is I face. I would take the risk of a vaccine injury or autism just to know that my son is going to live a full life, that I would never have to bury him. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but, you know, that's a reality of any heart condition, really. So, and I know that there are people that I know that have children with autism or have quote-unquote vaccine-related injury. Actually, I don't know anyone that their kid has had a vaccine-related injury. I do know some people with kids with autism. But, and I know that they might be upset by what it is I'm saying. But I have a feeling that if you were in my shoes and you didn't know if you were going to wake up and have your child tomorrow, you would choose a different condition for your child than that one. And maybe I'm ignorant in saying it, but I feel comfortable at this point saying that I would take the autism, I would take the vaccine injury over a heart condition. I just would. So maybe that makes me a selfish person, but I can at least stand on over 100 years of medical science saying that what I'm doing not only protects my son, but also protects others that have these issues that cannot just be resolved, and can have consequences if a kid gets a preventable childhood illness. So that's my thoughts. Go to the doctor, get your kid vaccinated, because the fact of the matter is, these doctors, they don't want to hurt your kid any more than you do. If there was something that was hurting children, there would be a much larger uproar from the medical community than we get right now from a few quacks. So if you're a parent out there and you're thinking about vaccinating, ignore the quacks. Stop researching, because you're not researching anything. You're just regurgitating what one side says. And again, remember, there are two sides to every story, but just because there is a second side of the story does not make that second side valid. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts for today. I hope you guys are healthy, happy, and that you're out there living your life. And God bless you.